Kei ngā wehi o te rangi, kei ngā ihi o te whenua, nau mai anō ki tō tātou marae wānanga e hora atu nei, o tira e mihi atu nei tēnā koutou katoa. He pāpā, he tūmua ki kura o mua, he kaiarahi o mua I te ropu tōrangapū Māori, a father, a former school principal and political party leader, Te Ururoa Flavell has opened up about his personal fight with cancer and his unwavering determination to stay alive. The father of 5, former Minister of Māori Development and co-leader of Te Pati Māori, has prostate cancer, ko te mate puku ki te repetātea. He's sharing his pain and his positivity in a bid to encourage tane to get tested. Te Ururoa spoke with Leigh-Marama McLachlan about the diagnosis that turned his world upside down.
Suffice to say that after I heard those first few words, you got cancer, I can't remember too much after that because it just was a bit of a blur. Well, the old wairua wasn't all that great shot. Nor was the body. It's one of those things that sort of like you start shaking and, just pōuri, just really sad. While I was preparing for my tangi, who am I going to talk to? I'm going to talk to my kids, make sure that everything's set out. Am I going to tell the marae? Am I going to tell certain people? Like, in other words, I'd almost put myself in the hole straight away.
It's been a life-changing year for former politician Te Ururoa Flavell. In August 2023, he was blindsided with a diagnosis of stage 4 prostate cancer.
And then they found other bits and pieces in my body that had gone out of the prostate now. So it wasn't being dealt with just as a prostate thing, it was the whole body, in the lymph nodes. And the worst part was I had to get out of the car and with my wife and my brother-in-law and all the family who were there to celebrate. Actually, when we got the news, celebrate my wife achieving her doctorate on the same day of all damn days.
Within 2 weeks of receiving the news, Te Ururoa was in chemotherapy. It was a daunting time filled with unknowns. So he decided to document his journey, capturing every step along the way.
Gee, just recently noticed all hairs dropping out, which is always going to be a consequence of it. It's one of the many consequences of having cancer, along with things like ulcers and itches and scratches and sore body, headaches, hot flushes. Gee, you get the lot. That was the scary part because I didn't know anything about it. I had all these misconceptions about what it might look like. But once we did the first one, mind you, we made a few mistakes on that one, like trying to do a liver flush just before you're going in to do chemo when you're possibly going to get diarrhea. Not a good idea. So we suffered a bit on the first round. But after that, and once I got used to the rhythm of it, you just knew it was going to come. So basically, you got the fingernails all sort of rotting a little bit, and some of them were falling off. And my feet get a little bit numb. But that's just a consequence of the chemo.
His devastated wānau wrapping around him. So then it was game on. They made huge lifestyle changes to fight back.
Here's a little treat.
Ooh, you allowed these?
No.
A new diet, kawakawa, miri, karakia, and a daily cocktail of health supplements.
Would you like to join me in my pool?
I've had my vitamins this morning.
The supplements, the don't eat this, the diet, the lifestyle, you've got to change this, you've got to change that, you've got to accommodate this. And so we just did it all.
You write all of these on here?
No, that was the Sergeant Major of the Flavell household, making sure that I do the right doses and don't overdose, and that I do it every day. They taste like pork bones. These ones are a little bit different, they taste like mutton birds, but anyway.
You got limited edition flavours.
So good.
It's felt like a bit of a cruel twist for the otherwise fit and active man who spent years raising awareness of the risks of cervical cancer through the late Tale Morrison's Smear Your Mare campaign.
Pretty much, why me? Which is probably the same for a lot of people. I've been trying hard. I've been an advocate, for goodness sake. Why pick on me? But really, it's just, I suppose, an acceptance, right? It is what it is. I can't change it. But the biggest part initially was getting your head around it. Because a lot of people I've spoken to since, as soon as you drop your head, as soon as you give up, it's over. because you got to get your head in the right space to say, I want to live, I want to be there for my mokopuna.
Kia ora.
Determined to keep a positive mindset, the Honourable Te Ururoa Flavell signed up to be perhaps the country's most overqualified water boy.
So I chose that I needed to be in a positive space and that I would continue life and do things as normal as possible, despite everything, but keep it normal.
All the bottles are in correct order, filled to the regulation requirements.
And he's taking his cancer journey public on a Facebook page called Living With My Mate or Mate.
Okay, kia ora te whānau. One of the big questions asked of me on my journey with cancer is, well, what about kai? Well, it seemed a bit of a contradiction that I join the campaign and be a part of a campaign to tell women about cervical cancer through Ride for Tale and so on, Smee o Mea, and yet I don't tell the story myself. I mean, I think that would have been a disservice to Tale, straight up, and to the family, so I decided to go the other way. So, a couple of quick things. Sugar, out. Bread, flour, out. Carbohydrates, riwai, kumara, gone. There's heaps of people out there who've had cancer that's done the same journey as me, and I always wondered, how come we don't know how this all rolls? Like, the first one was about chemo. I had visions of what happened with chemo. I thought, oh, okay, I'll go down and lie on a desk and lie on a chair, lie on a bed, be a nice comfortable bed, and it'd be rays zapping my body. It was nothing like that. And of course, I'm gearing up to go and lie on the bed and thinking, well, do I take my pants off? Do I leave it on? What do I do? All that sort of questions. And all it was sit in a nice comfy chair, bring some headphones so you can listen to and watch Netflix, and put your arm up and wait for the stuff to go into your body. That was it. Kia kaha. Change the diet. Change the diet.
Research shows many Māori are too waka mā to get prostate checkups, but his message is clear: tane mā, get it done. And it's not as invasive as you think.
Even a blood test. Going for a blood test. I tell the guys, you don't have to go with the finger up the bum, for goodness sake. Go for a blood test. They're same. We are twice as likely to die because we are late to have the disease detected. Then, you know, we should be putting this kōrero out.
And his kōrero is getting out there.
We recently saw on the regional stage at the Te Aroha comps that Ngāti Rangiwewehi did a waiata in tribute to you. What was that like?
Oh, it was pretty awesome. I didn't know it was coming. But now that I think back in all the prompts that people were giving me to be there, I should have read it a bit earlier. Yeah, hugely humbling. And hopefully that message got out to the thousands of people of Te Aroha that arrived at the kapaika on the weekend, because that's what it's all about, just trying to get other people to understand, goodness sake, don't just look at somebody in either admiration or pity, but actually do something about it. Or go and get tested, for goodness sake, because then you'll know.
Point of order, Te Ururoa Flavell.
The Speaker, I think...
Doing something about it has been a hallmark of Te Ururoa's career, in education, in Parliament, and here at home in Rotorua.
Yeah, days gone by. 12 years in Parliament. This one here is all his koe and koroua, all bar one have gone now. But reminiscing about that one.
What's life like now for you?
Oh yeah, totally different, totally different. Took a while to get over it and move on. And now I'm just a consultant that goes out and talks about te ao Māori to people. So yeah, life is totally different, but it's good to be home and be able to be involved and cope up at home here. Yeah. See, as you come down, see, bring it down, go, bring it down. See, sit over here, I can whack it.
A rugby man since way back. At high school, Te Ururoa captained St Stephen's first 15 in an undefeated season. And he was a rep player for Auckland. So what do Ngongotaha Women's Rugby think of their director of hydration?
It gets a bit bossy, but given that he's our kaumata, I'll let him have that.
Over top.
He's really been flooded with a lot of people coming in and talking about their journeys and asking for help and, asking for advice and stuff, which, and again, it just shows the selflessness of the man, because while he's going through his stuff, he's still reaching out and he's still trying to awhi all of our other whānau and all of the other men that are going through it.
He's a real special man in our community and with me too, so yeah, it's cool. It hit him hard, hit us all hard.
Done.
I lost my dad at 53 with prostate, so it's pretty close with me, and I'm totally promoting it and pushing everyone. You know, I've been with him right through his treatment and all that. Yeah, he's a brave man and tough man, so don't tell him that, though.
Takina taku mana waura, he mana waura ki a koe, he mana waura ki a. Home yeah, hui yeah. Okay, that was take one.
This week, Te Ururoa started radiotherapy treatment. But the good news is his hard work and mindset are improving his outlook.
Things are generally stabilised for the body, but, you know, that little bit there, that aggressive little bit of cancer that's still in the body, I've got to deal with in terms of this radiotherapy. I feel okay. I'm a bit weak. I'm not in the same condition I was. It's taking time, just physically, not being as strong as I was, and I'm just shocked at how much I've lost. I think I would have crumbled if the results didn't show anything for all the effort that had been put in, which is why, as I say, my mate and I just did everything. Relatively good night's sleep, and then today, feeling way better. Ora.
How do you feel about the radiotherapy?
Yeah, a little bit anxious about it. I mean, just because I don't know, you know, what's coming. I'm sure once I have my first one, albeit we've already been across, had a look at how it goes. They've sized me all up, put the marks where they need to be, with a little tattoo mark. So I know what's coming. It's just a matter of let's do it, get it out of the road. It's 20 minutes of one a day, and it's a part of the ongoing treatment. And if it does the job, which is basically clean the last bits out, then I'll be happy. So all I'm taking the attitude is that I'll do whatever it takes. I don't care. I'm not a hero in any sense of the word, but what I do know is we do need to circulate the information so that people know, number one, get tested. Chingus, nothing happens unless you get tested. And number two, just allow it to go, follow the process. I'm very lucky that despite the circumstances, how things rolled out, so lucky for my family to be around it, and in particular for Irana to be at my side, because she's basically handling pretty much everything. The biggest message, I think, is you can't let cancer be an automatic death sentence. It's not. Life carries on, and don't fall into the hole of just giving away. Give it away. If you give it away, in my humble opinion, and from some of the research that says that's half the battle. As soon as you give it away, just got to stay focused, got to stay on the track and go with it.
Kia kaha koe hoa. Me te mōhio iho te Ururoa e koro waitia ana koe ki te aroha o te tini me te mano, me te tumanako. Mā taua arohara e pakari ai koe ki te takahi te ara, ki te toi o te ora. And if you want to see more of Te Ururoa's journey, he's on Facebook at Living with My New Mate, New Mate Rane. E tiwi nau mai anō kia marae I tēnei ata. Approximately 4,000 New Zealanders are diagnosed with prostate cancer every year. Around 700 die every year. Māori are twice as likely to die from prostate cancer. Hoi anō, it's not all bad news. Prostate cancer is survivable through early detection. To continue our kōrero, I'm joined by Gisborne-based GP Dr Jason Tuhoe e te rangatira mihi ana kia koe. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe te hoa.
Nau mai kia marae. I mātaki tāua I te pūrongo mō te Ururoa, me tana whawhai ki te weri nei, ki te taniwha nei, ki te mate puku. And he says there's a lot of unknowns around cancer treatment, which would be true, because I sit here and watch that and think about prostate cancer and think, geez, I don't know anything about it either. I wouldn't even know what the symptoms were, how to get tested, all of those kind of things. But hei timatanga kōrero mā tāua, what do you make of his efforts to raise awareness around prostate cancer using methods like Facebook, digital platforms? What do you make of that?
Yeah, me mihi ka tika ki aia. Ka mutu ki tōna whānau, me te mōhio hoki, ko ia tēnā e pakanga mo te ao Māori. Mai rā no taino ki te ao mōho nei. No rere mihi ana ki tēnā taniwha hikuro o tātou. Ka mutu te tana whakamahi I nei momo hāngaru o te ao nei, me te mōhio, kei reira te tūmata whānui. E mahi e ngā mahi, ka mutu I whakarongo ki ngā kōrero. So I just wanted to really mihi to Te Ururoa and to using digital platforms as well. I think, you know, in today's space, we're all on digital platforms, and I think, you know, if it's a way to get the message out, not only to tane, but to actually whānau in general, because I think as a whānau, as a collective, you know, we hold that responsibility for each other and keeping each other in check. So, yeah, me mihi ki aia.
Hea ngā tohu o te mate nei. So what are the symptoms of prostate cancer that whānau, as you mentioned, and tātou, nā tāne Māori, kia matara atu tātou, what are the symptoms we need to be aware of? What do we need to be keeping an eye on? I mean, I noticed Tururoa didn't talk about noticing symptoms or anything like that. It makes me think, did he notice anything? Did he ignore it? I mean, what are the things we need to watch out for?
Yeah, I think, well, with the prostate gland itself, it sits directly under the bladder, and it's a gland that we use, or that's a part of our normal anatomy in terms of nourishing semen or the seminal fluid. And so the prostate gland in most men gets bigger, and what we notice is that as it gets bigger, it also constricts on the urethra, which is the connection from the bladder to the outside world, to the penis. So if you can imagine, if you're squeezing on a hose, the symptoms that you would get would reflect that. So you might have trouble going to the bathroom, going to the toilet, to pass mimi. You might have trouble with, you know, stopping and starting, or the stream isn't as strong. You might be getting up more at night as well, going to the wharepaku and things. Or you might even notice other things like there's pain or there's blood in the mimi. But you know, those are some of the symptoms that would generally come up in somebody who's experiencing problems with their prostate gland.
And so, in terms of the test for prostate cancer, how do we access the test? What do we need to do if tāne Māori are seeing and feeling these symptoms? What's the steps they need to take?
Yeah, the first step is to go in and see your clinician, or go in to see your clinic, make an appointment and things, and have a discussion with whoever's available. So, you know, there's general practitioners like myself who can see you, but we also know that in the communities that don't have general practitioners, they have nurse practitioners there as well. So having that initial kōrero, and these are they'll ask about those symptoms, and they may ask even some other symptoms that you might not think are related, but are related. So they may be asking symptoms about like red flags that we're looking for, like weight loss or night sweats or pain in areas that, you know, we wouldn't expect there to be any pain. They'll probably do an overall history in terms of looking at other symptoms, because prostate is a big issue, especially for our tāne Māori, but also other health issues are important as well. So we want to check in and make sure that everything else is okay. Doing an examination, so checking blood pressure, you know, doing a tummy examination. He talked about the finger up the bum. Probably wouldn't do that on the initial test because he talked about one of the other tests that he did, which is a blood test. But before that, we'll probably do a urine sample as well, make sure there's no infection, because other things can cause the prostate gland to be inflamed. But the blood test is the thing that we would look at doing specifically for the prostate.
How reliable is the blood test? Because like I hear, you know, those scary stories that people tell you sometimes, or you read about, where they've had the blood test and the blood test shows nothing, and then a few months later they've got cancer and it's increased to stage 3 or stage 4, and the blood test didn't show it up. So how reliable are those blood tests really? Can you rely on those?
Well, when they're specific to the conditions like prostate, then PSA, that's only made by the prostate gland itself. But the thing with the PSA, or the prostate-specific antigen, it's a protein that can be made by cancerous and non-cancerous cells. So the condition that we call the enlargement of the prostate is benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. That can also raise it. But there's also other things that can cause it as well, like infection, like when you touch it during the examination, or even if you're, like, say, exercising, riding a bike, because you're sitting on that area. So there are the blood tests that look at other specific cancers, but most of them are only looking at once they've had the treatment, and then monitoring how their response is and things. So, yeah, coming in, having that discussion, having a feel of the puku, doing some observations, doing the mimi test, and then doing the blood test as well as a part of that.
And as you know, ka kaumātua haere e tahi o mātou, kei te pai koe, kei te ahua rangatahi tonu koe, engari ngā mea e kaumātua haere ana pēnei iau. Do we need to be more regular about getting tests as we get older?
Yeah, well, that's...
And how often, how regular should we be?
Yeah, and that's the problem with, I guess, the system in terms of prostate cancer screening. We don't have a prostate cancer screening program similar to cervical cancer or breast cancer, or even now colon cancer. And I think because we're still trying to figure out the risk versus benefit in terms of the potential for that screening program, because all screening programs can cause harm, but it's about making sure that, one, we have the right processes in places, quality assurance, and we're actively monitoring the program itself. So in terms of when, that's the big question, because it also depends on also family history and family risk, which is one thing that I missed out on the history part. And so some are checking like at 40, or some even 45, or some even at 50. So there's no uniform way in terms of the screening program at the moment.
And Ururoa mentioned diet. How, you know, how much changes do we need to make in diet, and how much impact does diet have on your susceptibility to getting prostate cancer?
Yeah, I think diet is a major. I mean, if we look at the world in terms of obesity and things, that in itself increases risk of cancer generally. And so Te Ururoa is making those conscious decisions in terms of his diet. He mentioned some of the things that he's doing in terms of either low carb, no carb, you know, looking at removing some of the processed foods that he's been eating. And I think that's important for overall health as well. Looking at heart disease and stroke and diabetes and all those sorts of other conditions that affect us, but also our mental health. Diet has an impact on that as well, and looks like he's doing a lot more walking and exercise, and I saw him on the bike and walking with his wahine as well. And so those are important things in terms of overall health. And then he also mentioned sleep, being consistent with that, and also connections to people. You saw him, you know, with the rugby team, and being connected to his awa. I assume that was his awa, and to his maunga. So, you know, those are all important in terms of not only our physical health, our mental health, but also our wairua.
Yeah, that awa, interesting, you know, you talked about one of the symptoms being te mimi. And tengo tērā awa ko te mimi a peke haua. Engari, ko te mea miharo ki au o te mahi a te Ururoa. Kei te whakaaro Māori ia ki tēnei mate nera, me te whakaaro ake ki te hauora, ngā taha katoa te hauora o te tangata. Taha ine ngaro, wairua, karakia. Taha ine ngaro, me pūmau te whakaaro, ka ora au. E rā momo āhuatanga nei, he mea nui kia tātou nā tāne Māori, ne? Kia whānui o tātou whakaaro. E mihi ana ki a koe, Waimari, tātou, kei roto koe i te ao hauora e mahi ane hoa, te hunga pēnā i a koe. Hei āwhina i a tātou te Māori ki te kimi rongo wā, ki te kimi rānei te ara, ki te ora. I roto i ene momo ma te weri o te wā. Nō reira tēnei ka mihi ki a koe, taku rangatira. Jason, tēnā koe. Ko tūno whai hua. Mātau o Marae o tira kare kore. Ngā tāne Māori me ngā whānau katoa e mātaki ana i tēnei ata i o kōrero.
Me te mihi atu ki a koe, otia ki a te Ururoa kamutu, te hono ki tēnā kaupapa tālei. Me te mōhioko i a tēnā te tihi kaupapa a mo te oranga o te whare tangata, mo te oranga o te wahine anō hoki. Nō reira, me mihi ka tika ki ngā tauira pēra i era. Kamutu, hei oranga, e hari te mea mo te tangata, engari mo te katoa, kia ora o tātou whānau, o tātou marae, hapu, iwi. Kamutu, hei oranga mo a tātou tamariki mokopuna te take. I ki te tātou i tēnā tauira ki roto, i tēnā kiriata. Nā reira, e mihi kawana ki a koutou o Marae.
Eha, me pēnei taku mihi ki a koe, kia ora. Tēnā koe, mau. He tiwi taki hoki mai anō rā ki a Marae. Waka Hourua from around the motu arrived in Te Tau Ihu yesterday to celebrate the whanaungatanga and mātauranga of deep sea voyaging. Iaean Cranwell is co-chairman for Te Hau Kōmaru National Waka Hourua Charitable Trust. He joins us live now from Kai Tere Tere. E te tuakana e mihi ana kia koe.
Tēnā koe, Scotty, tēnā koe. Nei te mi atu ki a koe e hoa.
E hoa, e ai ki ngā kōrero i tai atu etahi Waka Hourua. Ina nahi I pēhea ngā tai o roto I tō ngākau I te ki te hanga atu I ngā waka tupuna nei e ū ana ki roto I te rohe o Kai Tere Tere. What did it feel like? What did it look like when all the waka arrived yesterday?
Hikaka te manawa, Scotty. Nā te mea I tai mai ngā waka e whā, ngā tōpito e whā o te motu, ngā hiraka no te tauranga moana, hine moana no Tamaki, tai rāwhiti no tūranga kiwa, te Matawa Māui no Ahuriri, I tai mai ki kai tere tere ai ki te mana whenua ki konei, ngā mana whenua Te Tau Ihu o te Waka, te rapea tōru rautau, I kaore anō kia tai mai e rā tūmama waka, hikaka te manawa I tai mai e rā waka e whā, tai atu ki kai tere tere, he rawa I ai kia Barney Thomas, hoki te maumahara o ngā waka, te rapea ngā waka o rātou tainui, kura haupo mā, te whakaaro, hoki te maumahara o ngā kuia mā, pao mā, hikaka te manawa.
Kāre, kore, hoa kāre, kore. Me te aha, this is the festival's first time in the region. Ki roto te Waipounamu, ki toku mōhio. A lot of tauira getting their first chance to see these kind of waka up close. Toia ngā tāngata ki o whakaaro ka tai atu ki te ahurei nei, ki a te kōmaru. How many are you expecting to come and visit during this festival?
We're expecting probably about 900 tauira from all different schools around Te Tau Ihu. And then they'll come into the festival, they'll learn, one thing, they'll get to walk on the waka, because we have the 4 waka just on the beach there, on Kai Tere Tere, right on the foreshore. The community can see it. Today is a community day. We have, it's open to anyone in the public can come down. But for the tauira, we have the Māori Star Compass, ka pehua, and the Māori Star Dome. They can go into the Star Dome, look at the whetū for navigation. Maramataka, they learn about the maramataka. And the other big thing is that we actually have the punga o te waka o te mata whaurua o kupe, and that is our Māori stone. And so we have whānau from Ngati Toa here talking about the punga as well and the Māori that goes with the festival.
Nui te mā tauranga nera, kei roto I tēnei kaupapa Waka Hourua nei, te whakatere waka, tātai whetū, era mea katoa. E hoa, ko te pātai nui, how do we protect this wonderful mātauranga that we have that connects us to these waka and connects us back into our past? How do we protect it and how do we share it?
Well, that's one of the reasons of the festival, is actually so we can share. We don't want to hold this in. This knowledge is open to everyone. And I suppose Te Hau Kōmaru was born after Tuia 250 in 2019, and the support of the government at the time that they would actually put funding in to support this kaupapa. Just hopefully the current government can listen and support this kaupapa continuing into the future. But it was the reason why was because we needed Aotearoa, this in Aotearoa histories in our schools. That's why we're kind of doing this festival, get all the tauira in, all the different schools, kura auraki, kura kaupapa Māori hoki. It's open to everyone. It is who we are. Think about, we're part of the Te Mona Nui a Kiwa from the Pacific. We have Polynesian brothers and sisters here from Tahiti and Hawaii bringing their knowledge as well. So it's, we just want to make sure that people know this is our history. Aotearoa, Waka Hourua, Waka Unua is who we are, and let's educate everyone.
Ka pai, hoi mihi nui ana ki a koe, ka kite au I a koe, ka rongo au I tō reo, ka hoki ngā mahara ki tā tāu e noho tahi, I rungi I te taumata kōrero, te marae o te Pākira I Rotorua. Iaia ne, taku tuakana, mihi ana ki a koe e nā whakamārama, tēnā koe e hoa.
Tēnā koe e hoa, nei te mi ati kia o koe, Scotty.
Wai nō rei tiwi, that's Marae for this week. The team will be back with you next Sunday. Toi tū te reo, toi tū te mana motu hake, toi tū te tiriti, kia ora tātou, katoa. Ko te reo, te take.